Say, welcome to the video. In today's topic, we're going to be talking about how to properly clean your ATV, or in this case, UTV. Now, I realize that's not the most fun or exciting topic to discuss. However, it is an important one, and in fact, it's also one of a few that we're doing in a series where we're going to test some different products and really just try and find ways to not only show you how to clean your ATV properly, but also speed up the process, because I think we can all agree we'd much rather be out on the trail versus cleaning your machine. So as we get started, there are a few things that I recommend you have before you actually begin cleaning. The first is either a high pressure nozzle on a hose or a pressure washer. Now, pressure washers are a great option. Now, I do have one here that I've been using for years. I'll put a link in the show notes down below. It's just a 1600 PSI pressure washer. It works really good for cleaning your machines. Also, you're gonna wanna have a bucket to hold water, some soap, and in this instance, we're just gonna use plain standard car wash soap. Now, we do have some other things that we're gonna use in this series coming up, but just for this basic video, just a standard car wash cleaner. And then of course, a sponge or some sort of microfiber to clean with. Now, there are a couple do nots that I wanna discuss right up front. And number one, do not use a pressure washer with too much pressure. Now, as I mentioned, I'm using a 1600 PSI pressure washer, and I am not using the most high pressure tip on that pressure washer. So if you have a 25 or a 3000 PSI pressure washer, you one, need to be extremely careful, and two, use a lower pressure tip. Try to keep it as far away from the machine as you can while still providing enough pressure. And just over time, you'll kind of learn with your tip and pressure washer machine where that soft spot is. So as you start further away and then just kind of move your way in, find that spot, and just be careful as you go, because the last thing you want to do is damage your machine while you're cleaning it. The second do not is try not to clean your ATV in direct sunlight. I get it, that's sometimes just the way it's gonna go down. I've done it plenty of times. If you do that, just realize that and try and make sure you keep your machine wet. So as I'm cleaning this side, I wanna make sure I'm keeping the opposite side wet as well so it doesn't begin to dry. And then when I'm done, or you're done, what you'll wanna do is pull it into the garage or put it under cover as soon as you can. So don't just leave it out in the sun to dry. That's not good for it, and it's also not gonna provide a great shine on your machine when it's done. All right, so with those tips out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and get started. As you can see, this machine is not overly dirty, and that does bring me to another recommendation. Whenever you get done riding extremely hard and your machine gets extremely muddy, like this, make sure to try and clean off those large chunks of mud as soon as possible. Now, I realize sometimes it doesn't work out and you're not gonna be able to get to it for a day or two, but as soon as you can, at least get the big stuff off. Spend 10, 15 minutes, whatever time you got, just to kind of get some of that junk off of there. So we're gonna go ahead and start with step two, and that is to clean all the dirt off of the machine possible. Now, I break this up, so step 2 alpha, I guess you could say, is complete. We're gonna move on to the next step, and what I'm gonna do, and you might be wondering, why are you doing this in the woods? That's because I'm actually gonna use this tree and my winch, and I'm gonna raise this thing up, and that makes it so much easier to clean. So if you have a winch and a tree or something that you can hook onto to bring your machine up, that's gonna do wonders in getting underneath and then getting out the back, and even the floors, because the floor drains are usually a little further back. So when you're cleaning the floor, it's gonna drain out through those holes. It's awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and bring that up. One thing to mention, if you do, sorry, I'm like 5 still. One thing I wanna mention that is if you do this method, make sure you use a tree saver so you don't screw up your winch cable or your trees or anything like that. I'll put a link in the show notes for one down below. They're not real expensive, and if you don't already have one, but you have a winch, it's definitely something you should get anyway. Winch remotes, Bluetooth, that's incredible. I love this thing. Say, if you saw me kind of pulling it away, it's because I don't want to damage this. To be totally honest, it's really not the safest thing to do because you have tension on there. Now, I know my winch cable can handle it, but I just want to put that out there. You really honestly shouldn't do it that way. You should get some cloth and whatnot and put it in front so you don't screw that up. All right, so that's a good enough angle for me. I'm good. That gives me the ability to get under there, and then also keeps everything drained to the back. All right, so step 2 Bravo is complete. We raised her up, we got under the skid plate behind the wheels. under the dump box, near the engine, all that kind of stuff, right? When you're doing this, really try and think of just the little spots that you know might get muddy. As you saw, I went for storage compartments. I cleaned the seat belts off, the roll cage, the bars, all that stuff. Those even get dirty just from going down the road from bugs and all that. So really just take your time, try and hit all those small areas as well. And then once you get that complete, we're gonna move on to step 3, which is soap and water. We're gonna get the bucket out, fill it with water, fill it with soap, and just clean the outside, scrub her down. This is really just to get that, you know, any of that excess dirt off on the body, and honestly partially just to help shine her up. All right, mosquitoes. Ugh. All right, so step 4, complete. We scrubbed it down with soap and water. Now step 5, rinse it off, get any of that last dirt and muck on there, and then we'll move on to step 6, which is really just the finer details like the rim. All right, so that step's complete. It's looking really nice. If you've noticed, though, I haven't given the wheels and tires a lot of attention. Couple reasons. One, all the gunk you spray off is gonna basically land on them. So I really focus on them last after I get the big chunks off. And 2, I'm back in the woods right now, so when I drive out of here, the tires are just gonna get full of dirt and stuff anyway. So I'm gonna drive around, get to the front of the house where there's some pavement. I'll focus on the tires there, dry it off, and we're done. Alright, so there we have it. Wheels are done. She's dried off. We're complete. Now, I realize this is a short video. It's supposed to be just a basic down and dirty on how to clean your ATV, but in reality, this was over an hour-and-a-half job, and that's not including the initial spray down I did. My point being, get in those crevices as best you can. Take your time and just try and enjoy the process. Alright, so that's going to lead us to the question of the day. What tips and tricks do you have for cleaning your machine? I'd love to hear them, and I know others would as well. Smash that thumbs up button if this video was helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already, especially so you can stay up to date on this mini series we're doing on cleaning your machine. And I hope to see you on the trail.